All right, we're back with Jim Walsh with Wired for Change. This is Paul Terry Waldes with Spring.net, and he's going to tell us about the online campaign in a box.
Exactly. Well, Wired for Change, we're working with the Democratic Legislative Campaign Committee to provide every single state legislative candidate who's a Democrat with a complete online campaign solution. Essentially, our system is called Salsa, and merging with our CRM, we've integrated a CMS, so you can actually manage a website without having to have any HTML whatsoever. It's essentially point and click, and so we call it an online campaign in a box. And it integrates database, blast email, online actions, and a website, essentially a really easy to manage website. We've kind of packaged it as an online campaign in a box. We call it DLCC Web. And of course, what's inside the box, it's all based on our system, Salsa. And so right now we have about 300 state legislative campaigns that are using it, and continues to grow every day. And it's all for $40 a month, which is pretty inexpensive. And the reason why we price it that way is because state legislative campaigns usually don't have enough money to spend to really get out there and do what they need to do. So we're trying to bring the cost down online so they can do more offline.
We've been talking with Jim Walsh with Campaign in a Box Salsa. We have a new campaign tool for your organization. This is Paul Terry Waldes with Spring.net at NetrootsNation. Hey everyone, this is Paul Terry Waldes with Spring.net here at NetrootsNation, and we're talking to Simon, who's with Simon Recording, and he's in the booth for ndn.org. And I noticed that in their literature here, it says that they know something about leveraging social networks. So tell us what that's all about. How do you leverage social networks?
I think we know people who know how to leverage social networks. No, we have a whole product line which is free, available on our website at ndn.org, which looks at the 8 tools that people can use in campaigning or advocacy. From things like how to buy cable, how to buy internet advertising, and one of the papers we've written is how to leverage social networks and use things like Facebook and MySpace more effectively in whatever your advocacy efforts are. I think we're all learning how to use this stuff. It's kind of new. It wasn't even around in 2004. Politics has always been about social networking in some ways, but the tools to do so are much more advanced and give average everyday people a greater chance to influence the political debate. So that's what that paper's about, and it's free and available on our site if anybody wants to learn more.
Tell us what a web strategy would be for leveraging social networks. What specific steps would you take to do that?
I'll give you one example of what we've done is that we hosted an event with Governor Bill Richardson during the presidential campaign last year in Los Angeles. He gave a speech on the future of U.S.-Latin American relations, and we advertised the event almost entirely through Facebook. It was something we had never done before. It was on a college campus, so you had a much higher penetration rate with college students on social networking sites than before. But we had 300 people there, and we don't have a strong support base in Los Angeles, and through our team working with things like the College Democrats in Los Angeles, we were able to generate a huge crowd on very short notice, just almost entirely through social networking sites. So that was just the beginning for us, seeing the power of that. But what you're starting to see now is what's called branded social networking sites. So for example, if you go to Barack Obama's website, he has mybarackobama.com, and that allows you to design your own interaction with the campaign, to involve your friends. I mean, you're starting to see it now jump beyond just Facebook into large organizations, I think. Some of the big advocacy organizations like Planned Parenthood and Sierra Club, I think in the future will start having social networking. My own guess is the DNC will have it. Within why not have DemNet or something where Democrats can connect with one another and share the way we do over Facebook. So I think what you're going to see is right now a lot of the social networking that's going on is happening through the famous sites like Facebook and MySpace. But I think within a few years you're going to see the large organizations having their own mechanisms to connect people, bring them together. It gives people more tools and options for how to get involved.
What about Twitter?
I'm here as part of the Huffington Post Twitter team. I'm not sure where I am on the whole Twitter thing. I'm going to get in trouble for saying that. I've done it. I'm tweeting during this conference for the next few days, and I'll let you know. And I think it's interesting. I have friends who are religious about they have a religious relationship or a passionate relationship with Twitter. I have I'm just started dating, I guess, Twitter. We haven't moved in yet, and so I don't know yet how I feel about Twitter. It's hard to keep up with all this stuff. I mean, even for those of us who want to and care, and want to, it's amazing how fast everything is changing.
So first date with Twitter, trying to get to first base, huh?
I didn't say that. I shouldn't. I have to be careful because I consider myself a Clinton-style Democrat, so I have to be careful about these kind of things to say. But no, I think Twitter is definitely catching on, and we need to learn more about it. I mean, the other thing I'm interested in, while we're talking, is I'm fascinated by widgets. I mean, another new thing that we all are learning about is I'm fascinated by widgets. I think widgets can emerge as a very powerful tool for people in advocacy because it allows you to both centralize an argument while distributing it virally at the same time. I think widgets have a lot of promise for advocacy, and I don't think we've talked about them enough, frankly.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling a little ambiguous about what organization you're with, or are you with multiple organizations?
I run a think tank and advocacy organization called NDN. I've been in politics for 20 years at the national level, and I wrote the foreword to Marcos's book 2 years ago. Marcos is a very good friend of mine. I'm glad to be here. I know it's not Yearly Coast anymore, but I still view it that way. And I've been even though I've been in Washington, I've been very involved in the origins of all this Netroots stuff. I'll be speaking tomorrow. We're a major sponsor of the conference here. And so we do a lot of work helping teach progressives how to use all these new tools.
What's your blog?
It's ndnblog.org. ndnblog.org.
What do you talk about on there?
Oh, everything. Everything from foreign policy to studies about television. It's a pretty diverse blog. A lot of different people on it, probably 8 or 9 primary contributors. And not as cool as some of the other blogs out there, but I like it.
What's the biggest, controversial, most heated blog thing you've written this year?
I was very critical of Senator Clinton for what I consider to be the games that she was playing over Michigan and Florida. And I wrote a post that got very widely picked up that was very critical of Senator Clinton, that was widely picked up by Marcos and a lot of the other big blogs. And it endeared me to some people and not to others.
You just called yourself a Clinton Democrat, though.
Well, I was making a joke about not making jokes about going to first base and things like that in the Clinton world, but no, I was neutral in the presidential race. I used to work for the Clintons. I was part of the '92 campaign, and I used to work for Bill and Hillary. Still consider them to be good friends, but I was neutral in the presidential race.
What are the odds of Hillary being VP, and what would that mean if she were that? Would that be a good idea?
I think it's up to Senator Obama. Certainly she's earned her right to be given serious consideration. I think these are very personal choices. I think that when Gore picked Lieberman in 2000, a lot of people were shocked. I wasn't really, because Gore and Lieberman actually liked each other. And if you're going to be in the fight of your life, I think you'd rather have somebody you know and trust than somebody who may poll really well. And so I think I think they underestimate what a personal choice this is. So it really is up to, hey man, don't go. Are you taking off? Okay, give me 2 seconds. I'll be right there.
Joe Trippi, how you doing, Joe? I want you to ask him a question. Ask him a question.
Why do we vote on Tuesdays?
Joe Trippi is a major force.
No, why do we vote on Tuesdays?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. Hey, let me take a break because I got to talk to him for a second. Thank you.
I'll cut it.
Thank you.
All right, we're back with Simon.
Simon Rosenberg.
and we were pleasantly interrupted by Joe Trippi. You seem to know Joe Trippi, don't you?
I do. Joe's a good friend.
What's he up to these days?
He's consulting. He's working on campaigns. For example, Joe Garcia, who's running in Florida, he's working on that race. Joe's always plenty busy. He's got plenty to do.
So what did he do before? What was his background?
Well, Joe's been involved in politics many, many years and worked in presidential campaigns. Also took some years off and worked at a tech company in Silicon Valley, which is part of what gave him the kind of knowledge to help in 2003 when the Dean campaign came along, that magical campaign that really reinvented politics. Joe had a lot of both deep political experience and also technical knowledge about all these new tools we were talking about.
Right.
Joe's on our advisory board and does a lot of events with us.
It's good to have in your social network. Right?
Yeah, he is. And he's the first person to ever tell me about Twitter, actually.
So, is he involved in presidential politics this year?
He worked for John Edwards and was very involved in the Edwards campaign and is not working in the general election. But Joe is always omnipresent. He's always with us. His spirit is with us, no matter where he is. But, well, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, just quickly tell us what to look for from your company. What's coming down
Well,
the
we
tubes.
do. We're a progressive think tank. So if you go to our site, you can learn more about economic issues, foreign policy issues, immigration. You can learn more about how to use modern media tools. We do a lot of research on demography, rising Hispanic population, millennials, the exurbs. So it's a sort of one-stop shop for a lot of interesting things that help you navigate this 21st century battlefield that we're all playing on.
Simon, thank you.
Sure.
This is Paul Terry Wallace with Spring.net and NetrootsNation. We've had a great interview with a brief appearance by Joe Trippi.
Thank you so much
again.
for the opportunity.
All right,
Okay,
bye-bye.
Thanks.
All right. Everyone, this is Paul Terry Wallace with Spring.net, and we're here with a candidate for elective office in the state of Wyoming named Nick Carter. What office are you running for?
United States Senate.
Well, you're shooting high, aren't you?
That's right. Start out big.
Tell us about what's going on out in Wyoming. I understand you used to be a roughneck. You worked your way up. You're a blue-collar guy.
That's right. I'm the youngest of 9 kids, and so our big family, by the time I went to college, the trough was dry. And so I put myself all the way through school, pouring concrete, working out on oil rigs, cleaning out horse stalls, everything I need to do. And then I opened my own practice in my hometown. And 20 years ago, now I'm running for U.S. Senate.
Gillette, right?
Gillette, Wyoming, that's right.
Yeah, I heard the bars in that town are pretty tough, aren't
They're
they?
pretty tough. You better be ready to go when you show up. That's why part of my campaign stuff talks about being Wyoming tough. I can go into a bar in Gillette.
How many people are in Wyoming? Not very many. Right?
Not many, about 500,000, 125,000 folks to win the election.
Who are you going to run against?
I'm running against John Barrasso, who is filling out the term of Senator Thomas, who unfortunately died of cancer about a year ago. And we're going to get it done this November.
Now, how come you're out here in Austin, Texas? Aren't the votes back there in Wyoming?
The votes are in Wyoming, but of course some of the fundraising is out here. And of course the Netroots, the bloggers can make a big difference and on causing buzz for my election. And a small amount of money goes a long ways in a campaign in Wyoming. We're not the multi-million-dollar races out in Wyoming. $500,000 can win a Senate race in Wyoming. So small donations, $25, $50, just like Senator Obama, and I spoke at his rally in Laramie, Wyoming, makes all the difference in the world, so that's why I'm here.
So that's a big state. It's all spread out. How do you get around in that state?
I own a motor home that says Nick for Senate on it, and we drive around, and I sleep in the back, and I go door to door every day.
All right, and how many people have you talked to in Wyoming so far?
We've knocked on thousands of doors. I can't tell you how many folks I've talked to, but I've talked to about half the state already here in July.
Have you done any polling or statistical analysis of
the
where it
DSC,
stands?
yeah, the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee did some early polling showing that a Democrat would beat Barrasso by about 6 points, and I'm better than some random Democrat.
Oh, good.
Hell of a lot tougher,
You're not
that's
just
for
any
sure.
guy off the street.
That's right, that's right.
got some law background, roughneck background. Have you seen that show Black Gold?
I know Black Gold, yes.
What is it? What's that all about?
Oh yeah, it's a show about working out on the rigs and how tough. It's kind of the oil version of Deadliest Catch or Ice Road Truckers, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Right. How many drilling rigs are in Wyoming right now?
I don't know how many are up, but there's a bunch.
The rig count must be up.
Yeah, the rig count's up, and I haven't heard recently, but all those pumping units are running in Wyoming now, with oil being $140 a barrel.
And it kind of astonishes me that so few rigs can provide so much of our country's oil. I think in total in the whole U.S., about 1,000 rigs or something?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot, and particularly the deep rigs, they don't exist much. After the oil bust of the 1980s, a lot of those rigs went dormant and really haven't come back. And, they cost a ton of money to put on, but they're coming back.
Now, what's your stance on the oil prices and the energy issues, since you're from an energy-producing state?
I'm from an energy-producing state, but I think that we've painted ourselves into this corner from basically 40 or 50 years without an energy policy. We do not have an energy policy other than this, make it up as we go along and fall in love with ethanol and fall in love with whatever the energy of the day is. We do not have a comprehensive energy policy, and we need to get and actually T. Boone Pickens from here in Texas is talking about bridging over to the sustainable fuels like wind. Wyoming is the Saudi Arabia of wind energy, and we need to develop those. So we need to start with a plan. That
Right.
might be a good thing.
Yeah.
And then we'll figure out how people are going to heat their homes and get to work and move this country forward.
So you're not totally just oil. Oil is the total solution.
Oil
You're
can't
for
be the
alternate
solution.
energy as
Absolutely,
well, right?
and my future constituents in Wyoming feel that same way. We have to leave a legacy. We need to consider in our economy how we're going to heat our homes, how we're going to get from here to there, and what we're going to leave for our children with the environment.
Right.
This idea that we can just drill away and hurt the environment, nobody in Wyoming believes we can do that, so we need to make some changes.
Where you stand on this whole Iraq war issue? Because you're going to be in the Senate.
Yeah, we marched in, we can march out.
Yeah.
If I'm ambiguous about that, we should leave Iraq now.
What about the Afghanistan issue?
That's where the bad boys are. I say let's go kick their ass there,
Yeah.
which is what we should have done since 2001. This has been, and I think Obama is exactly right, an enormous distraction.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Well, I've been talking to Carter.
Nick Carter.
Nick Carter. Appreciate it, Nick.
Thank you,
This
sir.
is Paul Terry Wallace with Spring.net at NetrootsNation in Austin, Texas. Thank you. Thanks for operating the camera. Hey, I'm here with Tell Me Your Idea, Bogden Rentia. Is that how it's
That's
pronounced?
correct.
How you doing?
Bogden Rentia.
Paul
Nice
Terry,
to meet you,
Terry
Paul.
Wallace with Spring.net. We're here at the Netroots Nation in Austin, Texas. Tell me your idea.
Well, tellmeyouridea.com is I have a day job.
Yeah.
My day job is being a lawyer. But,
Congratulations.
well, thank you. Not condolences, like a lot of people would say. I've always had a fascination with both politics and the internet, and I try to marry the two and start a site that allows the occasional blogger to have a platform to blog.
Okay.
That's the whole idea.
Okay.
The name for it was born from listening to politicians over and over state that they're running campaigns for the public. They want to know what their ideas are all about, and I thought that I would give people a platform where they can respond to their challenge by politicians. So
How's that different from just someone having a blog of their own?
well, to start a blog is not difficult, to maintain a blog is. And
Okay.
unless you update it every single day and stay vigilant, people usually lose the newness pretty quickly. So the people, they want to just say something once in a while, like people, they want to write a letter to the editor and they get frustrated because they don't get published. They
Right.
keep writing in, they don't get published. They just drop off the grid. This way, with our site, if you sign up, you will be posted.
Okay.
We don't rank people by importance. We just simply post them.
Does everybody post on the same blog, or do they each have their own individual
No,
blogs on
it
their
is,
site?
as you can tell from the site on the home page, the last one to blog is the first one to be displayed.
Oh, so everybody's on the same page.
Exactly.
Okay.
The only requirement is keep it to politics.
Now, how many hits do you get a month?
We just started about maybe 4 or 5 months ago, so it goes up and down. Sometimes, there's dozens, and sometimes there's not. And
Okay.
it increases and decreases. Really depends on what's happening. During the
Okay.
primary season, when it was in the heat of it, we got a lot more hits. Now things have settled down a little bit, and we're waiting for the next onslaught, which will obviously be the general election.
In November, yeah.
So, but that's why we're coming to conventions like this.
Okay.
You got to get known. The space is pretty crowded, so we just
Right.
want to get in. We just
Right.
want to have another place where people can come and put their thoughts down.
Terrific, terrific.
Well, Paul, I enjoyed meeting
Bogdan?
you.
What kind of name is Bogdan?
Romanian.
Romanian. All right, great, excellent. Well, enjoy your stay in Austin.
Oh, well, I am from Austin,
Oh, you're from Austin.
so I'm still enjoying.
Well,
my
keep
stay in
enjoying
Austin.
being in Austin then. This is Paul Terry Wallace, the Spring.net at the NetrootsNation conference in Austin, Texas. Thank you.
You publish your.
Hey, this is Paul Terry Wallace with Spring.net in Austin, Texas. We're at the NetrootsNation's convention, conference, conflagration, or whatever you want to call it. And we're here with NSA wiretap specialist Matt. Can you tell us what you guys are doing here?
Well, we're here. You're at the Advomatic booth, which is a web development company. We also do have a partner company, which I'm a part of, called Advomatic Laboratories, that does strategic consulting in the online space. And we're here just talking to people, informing them what we do in this hall here. But the reason we're all here is, I think, is we want to change the country, and the best way to do that is by having better tools and better skill sets at communicating with voters, with politicians, and bringing people together to affect change.
And so you host websites and you do something about click to call.
Yeah, well, that was a tool developed and first used on Chris Dodd's presidential campaign. And the idea was, rather than just asking people to call their senators and talk to their senators about why they should oppose retroactive immunity and FISA legislation, we'd make it easy for them. We'd pay for the calls, give them the numbers. All they had to.
This is Paul Terry Wallace with Spring.net. We're here at NetrootsNation. We're talking to Wired for Change. Is Jim Walsh. How you doing, Jim? Tell us what you got going on here at your booth.
Well, we have a lot. As you can see, basically Wire for Change works with about 500 campaigns, nonprofits, C4, C5s, unions, about 300 state legislative candidates, about 20 to 25 U.S. Senate races, and about 20 U.S. congressionals. Our job essentially is to bring all campaigns that are offline online. Through the system that we call Salsa, a campaign can actually have a database integrated with blast email, integrated with advocacy tools, so if they're doing petitions or writing letters to the editor, they can take their entire campaign online. And it's all integrated with a database that gives an organization a 360 view of their supporters. So instead of having to rely on Gmail or Hotmail or some other email system, they can actually use our system to send blast email to the supporters to keep their records updated, to let them know about different events around the city, around the state, around the country. That's about it.
So, if someone has a large database, what would be the cost and the conversion process for doing something like this in general?
Absolutely. We've done many database uploads. For instance, we work with the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee. They have a huge list that we actually send blast emails for all the time. The cost is usually pretty small, actually, because we have our guys internally that have the ability of helping you with that integration. It would simply be a matter of us getting a handle on what kind of database you had, and we would actually handle the upload ourselves. The cost usually, depending on the number of supporters you would have in the database itself, usually goes between. We have some organizations as small as a list size of 5,000, and so of course the cost for them is pretty significant. We have some that have list sizes as large as 3 million, and we have a total database list size somewhere in the neighborhood of about 23 million. So it really depends on the organization and how big.
All right, great. We've been talking with Jim Walsh, Wired for Change. This is Paul Terry Wallace with Spring.net at NetrootsNation.